I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. I am Giulio Christian Gallerati, joined by Francis Javier Ellis.
Yeah, I was gonna say that can't be your middle name.
That is my middle name.
Is it really?
Christian is my middle name. Giulio Christian Gallerotti.
How did that happen?
I don't know. My parents just gave me that middle name, but it's insane. No, Christian.
Are there Christians in your family?
Nope. They just like the name Christian. Realistically, Christian Gallerati, dude, I'd be a movie star if that was my name. That's the most fire name of all time.
That's a good name.
Well, anyway, welcome to Oops the Podcast. Thank you for joining us, whether you're listening in Columbus, Ohio, or fucking Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We got listeners all over the world. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Nice.
Please rate and comment on all our shit. Engage with us. Message us. Send us your stories. We love hearing from you, and we love this thing that we're doing. So,
hell yeah.
Happy Thursday. And Francis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm swell. I'm wearing my Alex Killorn Stanley Cup champion shirt.
Dude, that's a great shirt.
Friend of the pod, friend of mine.
Friend of all.
Yeah, he plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they're doing well. So
Awesome.
good on him. Yeah.
Dude, I have a topic that I was excited to bring up today. I was on the train today and I was psyched about it. And so here's the question. Has there been a thing about your girlfriend that you didn't know about that you then found out about that like fucked you up a little? And this doesn't have to be something like weird. It can be something minor. Just, is there anything like that?
I have to think about this so carefully. I have to be so careful. You are laying a trap for me because yes, immediately things come to mind, but now I have to sift through and say like, nope, can't do that one. Can't do that one. Let me think.
Do you want me to set the tone
here?
here?
You go first, and then I'll see what speed we're operating at.
Okay. So I'm watching the Super Bowl. I know not to talk about the Super Bowl. This isn't a Super Bowl specific thing necessarily.
Why aren't you allowed to talk about the Super Bowl?
Because it's outdated, but you'll see why this is relevant. So I'm sitting there watching the halftime show, and I'm sitting next to my girlfriend, and The Weeknd's performing, and all of a sudden she just knows all the fucking words to The Weeknd, and I didn't even know she liked The Weeknd. I'm sitting there and she's like, when I'm fucked up, does the real me? Like the parts that are hard to know.
Yeah.
And I look over at her, I'm like, were you going to bring this up while we were listening to my playlist? Like that you begrudgingly listened to? She's like, oh, can we stop listening to Gunna? I'm like, The Weeknd comes on all the time and never once you'd think she'd be like, I love The Weeknd.
Yeah.
I had no idea that she liked The Weeknd and it was like weird. And she's like, why do you think that's so weird? I'm like, it's fucking weird. That would be like if you were doing all the furniture shopping for our apartment and I didn't do anything. And then we walked into the furniture store and I was like, oh, mahogany.
Yeah.
Fuck. And she'd be like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
I do know what you mean. And boy, am I glad you went first. Because that was not at all that was like a compliment. My girlfriend knows the lyrics to this popular artist. I was going to be like, my girlfriend had a cocaine problem when she was 14. Yeah, it came out of nowhere. No, that's not true. That's not true. But
spoiler alert,
I am glad you. Yeah, that's funny though. That's funny. You know, we've talked about The Weeknd a bunch, or as I call him, Future, and
things you look forward
to.com. Dude, it is jarring when you've been dating somebody for 2+ years or whatever, and you think you know everything about each other.
Yeah.
And then I'll learn things about her because we're talking to another person, and she'll tell that person something, and I'm like, wait, what? Where did that come from? Since when?
Dude, totally. And it's funny because that can actually lead to fights. Like I'm more mature now, so it wouldn't. But I remember one time my ex-girlfriend was like, oh, remember when I made out with that guy who had one eye on our trip to Argentina? I was like, what? And then I like got all jealous and I was like, oh, like that seems like you gave it up real easy. She's like, what? I felt bad for him. He had one eye. Like, what's your problem? Like I like turned it into a fight.
Yeah, I this is a great point. Dude. It's so, I will say it's a slightly different point from the one you were asking about, but when my girlfriend recently casually slipped into a conversation, and I don't even remember why this happened, but that like she was telling a story with another person we were with, and she said something. Oh, she was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Went on a date with this guy. Oh, it was like a mutual person they knew. And then she was like, and then when I went back to his place, that guy was sitting there on the couch.
Dude,
and they were like laughing about it. And I was like, why? What? You went, what? You went back to a guy's place? I know what that means. There's only one reason you go home is somebody, and I don't want to hear this.
And at that point, you have a choice. You have to decide how you're going to approach that.
Yeah, and I let it eat at my brain for 3 straight days.
Until you bring it up passive aggressively.
And I was like, why did you go home with this guy 4 years before we met?
She's like, I'm so tired. It was like, I bet if you were at so-and-so's place, you wouldn't be tired.
Yeah, exactly. How many dates did he take you on? Was this the first date, or had he earned it? Like, how many times do you hang out after that? Like, what was it? Your mind starts spinning, and she does, she's so casually offering that up in conversation. Obviously it means nothing.
Yeah.
But it is amazing, dude.
Tough to hear tidbits like that.
Yeah. In fact, I do have now an idea of what I want to say, but I'm actually going to pause us and go ask her if I can ask permission for sharing it.
That's great.
So hold tight. And I strongly suspect that it's going to be a no.
This is great. I'm now taking the pod into territory it's never been in, which is just me by myself. If you guys remember famously, Francis actually did the pod by himself once when I had to go to a funeral, but with Tom Segura. It was never just much different than me just talking into. So I'm really curious what this is going to be about. Like, Chris, do you have any ideas of a? Oh, Chris doesn't have a mic. Well, I don't know. I'm wondering if this is going to be. Francis is good. This is impressive self-growth though from Francis. 2018, 2019 Francis would have just gone right into this, and you know what would have happened? He would end up having to move out of his apartment after. So Francis, it's nice to see Francis maturing. This is an exciting development for the pod. So I'm really curious. Let's set the odds here. I'm going to say that she's actually going to let him tell it. You don't think she's going to let him tell it? I feel like sometimes when he addresses it, he's usually overreacting. And then when he doesn't address it, he should have addressed it. Like I can think of a handful of things where Francis has got himself in trouble that I'm not going to bring up again because I don't want him to have to relive this on the air. So I'm not going to bring it in. And he actually created a moment of suspense there. He actually opened the door and then closed it and then came back in.
Yeah, it's a resounding no. It's a resounding no.
Chris called that.
Of course it's a no.
Broke the bank in Vegas.
Yeah, and it's too bad because, here's what I want to do. Like,
That's good, Chris.
At some point, I will bring up what I had wanted to share probably on the podcast because it's something I want to discuss with you. But I can't do it anywhere near to this moment because then people would connect the dots.
Got it. You need
because it's a phenomenon that is something I didn't know was going on, and then now the moment I became aware of it recently, I'm now seeing it everywhere, and it's just something like I can't believe I didn't know it wasn't going on all this time, and I'm wondering if you were aware that it was going on.
Oh wow!
But I can't bring this up for a long time.
Like even off the air?
Oh, I can bring it up off the air.
Oh, good, dude. I need to hear it. I need to hear this now. This is good.
Chris, can you pass me some water? Yeah, thanks.
I
have a question for you.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Do you think that being a good person or being a bad person is binary? That you're either a good person or you're a bad person?
It's a great question. And
is there a spectrum?
There's a specific answer that I have to this. And I learned this in the Marlon Brando documentary. He voice recorded himself on all these audio tapes.
Huh.
And it's a pretty awesome watch. I recommend it. I'm not sure what it's on, but if you Google it, you'll be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something interesting. And he said that there's no such thing as a good or a bad person.
I can't believe you have such an answer for this. This is incredible.
I did, because people can be both. Like that's why humans are so complicated. Like you can be good in one way, and like they famously show this in like mafia movies, where like Tony Soprano is like killing people, but at the same time, he's this wonderful dad. And I think that there's no way to say that guy's a bad person, that guy's a good person. There's too many opportunities for growth and redemption. People change. Maybe people are good in some way. They've done bad things, but they want to be good. Or maybe they were good and then life was so hard that they became bad, but they're not actually bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying. I do. But I still think that you could almost keep a scoreboard for people. And what determines whether someone's a good person or a bad person are their actions, right? Because even if fundamentally in your mind, you're a bad person, you're a serial killer or a pedophile, right? But you resist the urges to act on that, and then you just live your life well, you'd have to say that that person was still a good person, even if at their core, they were attracted to children or wanted to go kill everybody they saw.
So it might even be more, but that could work much more subtly. Like it doesn't have to be such an extreme thing. Like as far as like pedophilia or killing.
Of course.
Like you might just be the type of person who cuts down your friends and doesn't realize it. Like the spotlight always has to be on you, and your friends don't even feel comfortable talking about themselves because all you do is care about you, and you don't even realize you're being negative about everything they say. Like that person doesn't mean to be doing that. You know what I mean? But is that guy a bad person? Like maybe.
But that person is a bad person.
But then you could say something about anybody that would make them a bad person. Everybody's done something really shitty. Does that
Okay,
make
but
them
hold
bad
on a
person?
second.
Is everybody a bad person?
You're right. I agree. But then the way I see it, and I'm just I'm teasing this out, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. Let's say that on the spectrum, let's say that it is a spectrum, like the Kinsey scale of sexuality. Like not everyone is just inherently gay or straight. There's, a spectrum. And then at some point there's, let's call it a tennis net, right? Where you're net neutral, and then one step to the left you're good, or let's say left is bad, and one step to the right you're good, right? So you can dance, and you can even end up on both sides at different points
this is
in
like
your
part
life.
in the interruption. Like if you say something good, you get points in the win column.
Sure.
When you say something bad, you go down. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Right.
So your good can outweigh your bad.
Yeah, and if you're a bad person or you've done something bad, you can do a good act for the right reasons, which brings you back into the winning column.
So, but that's like, the idea of sort of overcompensating for something that you did bad. And you could also argue that things are isolated, so that if you do something really shitty by then going and doing a bunch of good shit, that doesn't necessarily make you good now.
Yeah, but hold on. That assumes that your good deeds are motivated by guilt from the bad things. That you're almost trying to buy your way back into, the good graces or whatever.
And like, does that person exist who just truly has no guilt, no heart? And like that person, again, like he was pushed to being that person. You're not born this person with no. Fuck, I guess.
No, I think there are people who are born with wonderful, loving parents who teach them the right morals and put them on the right path. And no matter what, those kids turn out to be sociopaths.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I think that can happen.
Certainly the sociopath.
And there are also kids who are brought up in, abusive households who despite horrible surroundings, come out gold.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's another conversation at play here, which is like, is there such a thing as a truly good deed? Because if you commit a good, and we may have discussed this, if you commit a good deed because you feel good and it will make you feel good, then that makes it not a good deed anymore, because then it's a self-motivated good deed.
It's still a good deed. I think that the best good deed is a completely selfless good deed where nobody needs to know about it. You don't need credit for it. That's like first degree good deed. Enjoying the blowback from the good deed is second degree good deed.
Right.
Needing the validation is the third degree good deed.
Right.
Which is not as good of a deed.
Agreed. But to return to the earlier point, which was that you said if you do bad things and then you try to do good things because you knew you did those bad things, then are you really a good person as a result?
Then you're just human.
Fine. But there are also people who don't even recognize that they did bad deeds and don't recognize that then they're doing good deeds.
Right.
They may not realize that what they did was bad, in which case in their mind, they're still net zero.
Right.
And then they may not realize, and then their good deed is not motivated by the bad deed. trying to buy their
Right.
way out of jail.
Right. And part of that can be also just like very human stuff, like justifying the terrible thing you've done so you can live with yourself. Or like have you ever seen the movie Juice with Tupac?
No,
Omar Epps?
I've
Chris,
seen
have you
parts
it?
of it.
Tupac's character is such a bad guy that it's unrealistic. That's my critique with the movie. It could have been a good movie, but like it's such an unrealistic seeming plot line that it takes away from it because people just are not that binary. Like you're like to your original question. It's so complicated that it's hard for me to say, like, sure, there's a guy out there who's a bad guy. That guy's a bad guy. But like there's more to it, I feel. Not to beat a dead horse.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
What do you think?
It's a great question, but for me, I really do think that I can say that some people are just bad people and that some people are good people.
Mhm.
And then I know a bunch of people who are more towards the middle who might waffle a bit. But you know, cause sometimes people, you hear this a lot, you know, so-and-so has a good heart. So-and-so has a good heart, right?
He means well.
He means well, right? So these people who have a good heart, right? They may outwardly piss people off or rub people the wrong way or do things that make certain groups of people fucking hate them. But you know, if you just get to know him, you've seen the goodness, and at their core, they're good people, right? But I don't buy that. I don't buy that because if you have goodness inside of you and then you just surround it with filth and act on your most primal urges and
Right.
let your base instincts win out over that core of goodness, which we never really see or see less frequently, you're still a fucking shitty person.
Yeah.
You have to resist and let that goodness out.
Right. You have to be good.
Yeah.
Meaning to be good isn't necessarily enough.
Yeah. It's I don't know, dude. Like, because I have people in my life, we've talked about this a lot, like who I would say are on the bad side.
Mhm.
But I wondered to myself, is there hope for them? Can they redeem themselves? What do they need to do for the remaining 50, 60 years of their lives to firmly plant themselves on the side of good?
Yeah. And, you know, part of it is like awareness. So sometimes the person will never be told about it and he'll never know. He or she will never know about it.
Right.
So it's like you need to be told and then you need 10 years of therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's true.
That's like the way to do it, I think.
Man, there are some people who are just so fucking gone. They're so far gone that people don't bother telling them.
I know.
Nobody will tell them.
I know. That's just the
And they'll
not a good
never
place to be
know.
in.
That's the worst. That's the worst type of people. If you're being told, yo, dude, you've been shitty lately, that's a good sign. That means people still care. They still think you have a chance.
They're comfortable enough to bring it up too. Like sometimes people who are so shitty, you like don't even want to bring it up because you're just like, ugh, like this seems like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I just rather avoid this person in perpetuity.
Right. Right. The other thing though, I realized though, was sometimes no matter how much good you do, you're not going to win everyone over, right? And so you still are going to be, in the eyes of certain people, bad. And there is so much peace that comes with being okay with that. That being okay with being disliked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've probably said this before too, but I know that there are people that I have hurt or wronged and whether or not I deserve a lifetime of their hatred, I am now at a point in my life where it's fine. I don't need to win them back.
It's good, man. I mean, have you seen the Bruce Lee documentary?
No.
There's a 30
Like
for
water
30. Yeah,
or
Be
something?
Water or whatever.
Be Water, yeah.
But there was a point where they were saying how he's like really confident and how sort of like the quote unquote like greats, they're just like unusually comfortable in their own skin, which can sometimes make them be assholes. And I think that there's something to that. You know what I mean? There's a way to like really succeed and thrive if you can let go of being so concerned about what people think about you.
Yeah.
you can really make progress. And certainly that can go the wrong direction. Like your friend who's like constantly posting the wackest shit on Instagram, and you're like, dude, how does this guy not get it? And this guy's just like, I'm doing me, and you're like, you're fucking terrible is what you're doing. But you know, there's something to that, man. Like the Michael Jordan and these guys who are quote unquote great, who were just kind of like also a little bit of a dick. There's something there about not caring about what people think.
It's amazing how beloved Michael Jordan is by so many millions of people, and yet would you say that Michael Jordan is a better person than, I don't know, I was gonna say Steph Curry. Like I think invariably Steph Curry is probably a better person than Michael Jordan was.
It seems like maybe.
Right? And yet Michael Jordan, for his greatness, is revered and loved at a deeper level. And yet who, you know,
people love a winner, I guess.
I guess why, yeah. And we all know he was a dick too.
Yeah.
We all know he was a dick.
Totally.
David Letterman was a huge dick.
Right. Like people are
beloved.
Right.
Universally loved. Yeah. All right.
Well, dude, I have a good news story.
Good.
A stupid crime. This one's not as dark as the last one that I read. So, spoiler alert, give me a second. Okay, check this out. A man in northern Ukraine made a risky call on Saturday in the hopes of having his road cleared of snow. As Ukraine faces record 20-inch snowfalls, the man decided to place a hoax call to the police, confessing to a murder.
Oh my God.
And urging the authorities to bring a snowplow as the only way to access his home. The police eventually did show up in an SUV, no snowplow required, only to discover the man's deception. The person he claimed to have killed was alive and well in the house. He now faces a fine of roughly $4.30 for making a false report. Dude, how insane. He goes, a police spokeswoman told the Associated Press that municipal services had already cleared the road earlier that day, but the man was, quote, not satisfied with the quality of the clearing. What a bizarre... Dude, the low price tag of the fine.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I mean, what an extreme to go to just to get the road plowed.
If you did that here, would you go to jail? You literally might go to jail for that.
I don't know exactly. You'd be in much more trouble.
You'd be in big fucking trouble.
Yeah, you'd be in much more trouble. But it's amazing too, because in a way it's smart, because he had to have chosen somebody who he could point to and be like, clearly I didn't kill this person. Right? Because if he names some random person, he's going to go to jail until they find that person.
That's a very good point. That's really smart.
Yeah.
The person sitting right over there is like, hey guys, sorry.
But it also seems risky. It seems like the kind of thing where they could burst in with their guns ablazing and something could go wrong.
Dude, it's clearly not the move at all. It's just
I don't think it's
one of the
move.
stupidest crimes I've ever heard of. But I will say this, if you're going to confess to a crime to get your driveway plowed, you might as well do it while wearing your bird
Yeah,
dog
you
pants.
should. You should do that. You know, they are everyone's favorite pant for using the most extreme lie to get your fucking car plowed, your whatever.
For a fake murder. And especially because once the police drive over with their SUV and actually do not need to plow the driveway, after you pay your $4.30 fine, you will be wearing the perfect pants to get right up off the couch and head to the street where you can shovel all that fucking snow.
Bingo. They are great for shoveling snow. They're great for putting out the fires that you couldn't get the city to do yourself or themselves. The Bird Dog's pants, man, I'm telling you. Comfort, built-in liner, everything you need.
Literally just ask our pal Chris here. The poor guy shoveled 7 feet of snow in the last 2 weeks.
Chris, have you been shoveling a lot of
He's
snow?
shaking his head in a way that's so sad. You guys have, he's staring blankly into the distance.
I used to like shoveling snow.
Chris goes,
Maybe it's because I was wearing my Bird Dog's pants, and we got to get you a pair of those for your shoveling.
Fans. Make sure you do that. And if you use promo code OOPS, you'll get a pair of nunchucks, which will come in handy when the police start firing upon you because they think that you've murdered somebody. You can maybe get one of their guns,
bat them away like you're Neo in the Matrix. Yeah.
Exactly. Bat those bullets away.
Or Pootie Tang actually was good at that too. I don't know if anyone ever saw that movie.
I did. That was a good one. Dude.
Yeah, that was a good one. I love that movie.
Birddogs.com, promo code OOPS,
Bingo.
free pair of nunchucks with your pants. You're going to love them. Get them. That's it.
All right, I got something for you.
Hit me.
We talked last week about the various fights, I think, that my girlfriend and I have had.
Oh, yes, we did.
What was the fight that I
toaster.
had? The toaster. I got another one of those for you, but it has changed my point of view.
Oh, that's good. So she won the fight.
I don't know if I'm ready to say that.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what happened.
Okay.
We now have 2 bottles of, I'll just say fluid for right now.
The fuck?
You'll see what I mean. Next to our sink, at our kitchen sink. Okay.
I know where
One
this is going.
is hand soap and the other is hand lotion.
Yes.
They are made by the same company, Aesop, AESOP, not to be confused with the guy who did the Fables, Aesop's Fables. This is a different Aesop. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation. The bottles are, for all intents and purposes, identical. They are dark bottles with labels that have all kinds of bullshit on them. I don't know what it is about soap and fucking cosmetic products feeling the need to have the French translation right below, but there's tons of different languages on the bottles, all kinds of bullshit. Labels look exactly the same, bottles look exactly the same. Except if you look very closely, you might see that one says soap and the other says balm. Now, they are right next to each other on the right side of the sink. I have now gone to wash my hands at the kitchen sink on multiple occasions, and I have covered my hands in lotion. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do now? You have to then wash the lotion off your hands, reapply the soap, and then wash that. And it drives me crazy.
Dude,
and
it's
so
terrible.
I confronted my girlfriend about it. And I said, listen, this will not do. This will not stand. Could I just place the hand soap on the left side of the sink and we can keep the lotion on the right side of the sink? That felt like the middle ground to me. Because then I will know I only use the hand soap. It's on this side.
Right.
Fine.
Dude, I've gone through this so many times. It's like playing fucking red or black at the roulette table.
Yeah.
You just like, and then you get
50-50.
It's beat. Yeah.
And she said, no, they need to be together. And I said, for aesthetic purposes. And she said, yes. And I wanted to jump out of the window. I wanted to lose I wanted to light myself on fire.
What's the word for that? Immolation?
Yes. Self-immolation.
Self-immolation.
Why can't we do that? Why?
Did you not grow up with that? Did they do that in your? I did not.
I don't think we had lotion at the
We
kitchen
didn't either.
sink.
And
No.
as an adult, I've started to think it's because I'm like the child of like migrants, and like maybe in their country they didn't do that or something. But
Does this happen elsewhere? You've seen this elsewhere?
I've seen it in other people's houses, and it always freaks me out. It always like fucks me up too. And I understand the like, but I never fully dry my hands either, so I never get to like.
I never apply lotion after washing my hands.
And apparently that helps you not age because the tops of your hands is where you show age.
If
whatever.
my hands
Dude,
look like
I
a
agree with
scrotum when I'm
I don't
75,
give a fuck.
so be it. The only
agree
thing I
with you.
care about is my fucking face.
Dude, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And on the way out, I'm going to make sure to change the arrangement of them so that you,
Love it. Fine.
so that you fucking are.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is just one of those things where like now I can't wash my hands at the kitchen sink. I can't do it. The bathroom upstairs only has the soap. There's no balm in there. So that I'm now not allowed to wash my hands at the kitchen sink. And it's just one of those things she wouldn't budge on. And I don't understand it. Now, having said that, this was after we got back from vacation and I started laughing. I laughed a rueful laugh.
There
It
we
was
go.
a rueful
There it
laugh.
is.
Full of rue. A full of rue laugh. I was laughing ruefully, as in, ha 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 ha. Ha, ha, ha.
Villain Francis.
6 days prior, I would have blown my top, but we had just gotten back from Jamaica, and I said, I had the ability in my head to say, if this is our fight, that's not that bad.
So be it.
If this is the stuff that we're fighting about, like if this is the severity and the level of intensity that we're getting to, that's a good sign for our relationship.
Rueful laughter. Dude, that's great. You're right, though. So you just let that battle go?
I just said, you know what?
Fuck it.
This is a good sign that these are our differences. That I don't think that we need to have the potion and the lotion on the same side of the sink, but she needs them to be there for the balance of the look or whatever the hell is, or God forbid we get it.
Is it in one of the little metal canister things that holds them both, or they're just sitting there?
They're in their own bottles.
A stronger point for your, left the sink, right of the sink.
We will never win those arguments. And my point too, Giulio, is as you prepare to cohabitate with your girlfriend, you need to prepare yourself for a lot of these battles that you will not win.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I don't care. And my girlfriend's mom was actually telling me this. We went on a hike together and she was like, you're smart. And she's like, I actually sincerely think that you just don't care. She's like, but you're smart if you're doing this on purpose because I actually don't care. And maybe that will change once I actually start living it. But she is completely decorating the apartment. I'm doing nothing. I'm like, send me a Venmo request. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble with that or not, but I trust her taste.
Look, there are a couple of big ticket items that you do need to weigh in on, because if you don't like them, it will make you unhappy. And I will say that.
What?
All right. So I'm going to make a total generalization here, but when it comes to furniture, I think that the guys, our main consideration is comfort.
Yeah.
That is our,
I think that's
really
a fair
kind of like the
generalization.
number one thing. And I think women are much more discerning and care a lot about the look.
Yes.
And also comfort, but I think look is...
They're gifted interior designers,
They're
typically.
just born with this interior design thing. I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah.
But they all have it. So, okay. If you get a couch or something that you're going to be spending a ton of time on and it's not comfortable for you, you'll be bummed out. That'll bum you out.
No, totally. I think that she will hopefully be keeping me in mind while she's making these decisions. Like she'll give me sort of like reasonable veto power.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I will see as it unfolds.
Here's an interesting thing that happened to us just recently. So, one problem is we brought our couch from our old apartment over here. And obviously this new place is bigger. And when we have guests over to hang, there's only space on our couch. We got a pretty small couch for our last apartment because our last apartment was pretty small. The couch can only seat 3 people comfortably, right?
Yeah.
So if we have 5, 6 people here, we don't have really seating for them. And what ends up happening is another phenomenon we've talked about. A lot of people end up sitting on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not great. You don't want your guests sitting on the floor. Even though we have a really comfy rug, we have a couple like poofs with no back support. For long hangs, it's just not great. Or people sit in like dining room chairs, whatever. So we need to figure out a situation to help out with the additional seating. One option was to get a couple extra armchairs, and the other option is to get just a bigger couch, a much bigger couch.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend had months ago, without me knowing, or maybe two months ago, ordered 2 armchairs, 2 comfy looking armchairs for the apartment. And they were so back ordered or whatever that they only arrived yesterday.
Oh, wow. Nice
And
addition.
she had told me in the morning, I have a surprise coming today. I can't wait. You're going to be so happy. Because she's known that I've been wanting a chair as well to read in and all this shit. So she went out somewhere and the chairs arrived when she was out. And these 2 burly delivery men came in with these massive boxes. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Because I thought it was going to be like a cake or something. And it was chairs.
Surprise, you have to assemble something.
Yeah. But no, they actually came out of the boxes totally
That's
ready
great.
to rock. So she pulls them out and I look at them and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But like, wow, that's a big move from her without consulting with me. And then I set up the chairs and they weren't comfortable. And I also thought that the color of the chairs did not go with our rug at all. And I was like sitting there waiting for her to get home, thinking like, man, how much of an issue am I allowed to raise about this?
So did you not sign off on them originally?
I hadn't seen them. It was a surprise.
But you knew that they were coming. You had never seen them.
I didn't know that the chairs were coming.
You didn't even know that they had been ordered?
No.
Oh, okay.
She went rogue.
Okay.
But we need chairs.
Yes.
So I was sitting there being kind of like growing in my feeling betrayed that she had made this big call without consulting with me, even though in her mind it was like she was doing us a nice thing. It was a present. She wasn't going to ask me to pay for them. It was like her contribution.
That's nice.
They were expensive chairs. So she gets in and she's like, so what do you think? And this is before she sat down. And I had the presence of mind to not start negative. So I said something like, well, they're great, you know? Why don't you come sit down and you tell me what you think? And she came and sat down and she was like, yeah. You know, and she did that thing that girls do where she like sat all the way up on the chair. Like her leg, nothing was touching the ground. I can't do that.
Oh, like just immediate cross-legged.
Treating the just totally up on the chair.
Treating the chair like a yoga studio.
Yes, exactly. And she's like, all right, these are pretty good, right? And I'm like, well, I can't sit like that, you know? So I'm sitting this way. And she was like, so what do you think? And I was like, can I be honest with you? She goes, yeah. I was like, honestly, they're not that comfortable. She's like, huh. And I go, I hate to say it, I don't think this color goes with our rug at all. And she immediately conceded the point.
That's
and
great.
then she was really devastated. And then I helped pick up the pieces.
It's a process, man.
But she immediately agreed. She was like, these don't look the way that I had seen them on the website. You know, they were aubergine, which is the French word for eggplant. And I don't know why the fuck they couldn't just call it eggplant or purple. Purple would have been fine.
My high school car was aubergine, dude. Had an aubergine Volvo. You could get picked on.
But they were more, instead of being solid aubergine, they were kind of like, what's that coat pattern?
Like a mat?
No. Fuck. There's a pattern that you often see.
Like a grainy aubergine?
That's pretty good. Yeah. There's a word though.
Rough?
No, it's got like, fuck. There's like it's not thatched, but it's, you know, it's driving me crazy. Anyway, I'm sure a listener will know. And maybe I'll come up with it. But anyway, she didn't like the chairs. And then she was really bummed out. And one thing that came to light was that she had ordered the chairs before we got the rug.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
But even
Makes
so,
sense.
she didn't like the chairs. And then instead of me being like us fighting over the chairs, it was like me being like, listen, it's no big deal. We'll try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace.
You can't return them?
There was a 25% restocking fee.
Oh.
So she listed them on Facebook Marketplace for the night, no bites, and then we ended up just doing the restocking.
Just, dude, it's furnishing an apartment is a process.
It really is. And you're going to make mistakes.
You're going to fuck up and it's okay. It doesn't have to be done right away.
That's right.
That's crazy.
But that was a good moment where we were of one mind about an interior decorating thing, which made
healthy
me
communication.
Think that our tastes are closer than I would have thought.
That's great. And it's also great to be, not be stubborn. Like props to her for being like, you're right. I agree. You know what I mean? Because there's an impulse in that situation to double down on your decision.
But here's my question. Do you think that if and maybe since you're not in her head, you can't know, but if I had not raised anything and I'd been like, these are great, do you think we would have gotten rid of the chairs? Even though they're dead wrong?
Maybe not. I certainly think you approached it in a good way. But she may have come to that conclusion also.
And then what?
And then been like,
And then what if I'm like, but I love them?
she might cite the points that you cited. She's like, I ordered these before
And
we
she
ordered
would
the
have
rug.
veto power, 100%.
But she might talk you into it. Like, because like you said, you guys have
Yeah,
similar
but if I can
tastes.
just be talked into anything, then I'm just a fucking acquiescent douche.
Yes, fine. But
A fucking dog.
But in this situation, there's good grounds to be talked into that. Like you said, they're not comfortable. They don't go with the rug.
Yeah.
Good reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the day where I do get a chair that is really comfortable, that I really love, and she tells me we have to get rid of it because it doesn't go with the new coffee table.
Mm,
That's going to make me sad. But I know I'll bend. I know I will. I'll bend the knee
bend the knee, baby.
because, as it turns out, when you live together, there are no hills worth dying on. Not a single one.
That's an interesting stance. It's a good stance.
I didn't die on the soap balm hill.
You didn't die in the toaster?
I did kind of die on the toaster hill. That toaster is still up there. It is
Toaster
shiny and it is great. And I have not toasted a single piece of bread since we had the fight.
Get it in there, baby. Just showing solidarity.
Yeah.
That's great, too.
Oh, man.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you seen your parents naked? That's a big, I don't know. Furniture reminded me of this.
It's great. It's a great question.
And I'll tell you
Great.
what, the reason why, and I'll let you answer in a second, but my dad's like dresser was just in the living room. Like our house wasn't that big. I guess that my mom got all the closets. So I inevitably just like caught fucking, my dad naked as a child occasionally. I would just see him naked.
Your dad's changing room was
The living
room.
Correct.
I mean, you want to talk about.
Correct. So the question stands. Did you see your parents naked as a kid?
When I was a kid, yeah.
Like how, like that you can remember?
I probably stopped seeing my parents naked around, I don't know, 7 or 8, maybe. I'm not sure exactly. when it would
Potentially
have
same
been.
for me, honestly.
But it certainly has been many years. And then you get into a place where, my dad and I might be changing in a locker room and all of a sudden we're men.
Right.
And then it's supposed to be less weird, but there were still years where I was conscious of it.
Yeah, you just kind of like don't look down in that situation. Like that's
You
the
don't,
mature way.
or you sort of just turn your back and he gets a butt view or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I haven't seen my dad's piece in like 20 years, dude. At least. Maybe more. But dude, I'll tell you what, and I don't know if this is because I was younger and like scaling and whatever, but I just remember him he was packing heat, dude.
Really?
If I remember correctly, my dad had a fucking hog on him, dude.
Now, was that because you were so young that you, by comparison,
It's unclear. It's unclear if that was a scaling thing. If like, I'm serious. Like, I don't know if, compared to my, prepubescent little fucking twig,
right?
if he just seemed like he was fucking Thor or whatever.
Would you want to see it again to
Definitely
clarify?
not. I definitely not.
Oh.
And I don't recall ever seeing my mom naked, thank God. That would.
Really? So yeah, I mean, because I remember my mom being naked and, I don't know, like when I was like 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no memory of my mom being naked. I definitely remember my dad just changing in the living room.
But dude, I also think that I used to just bomb around naked in the house as a child all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I have a friend. This is so funny. I have a friend. I remember when he was like 16 or 17. He's like, dude, this will be hilarious. I was at his family's house. And they had friends over. He just runs out to the pool naked and starts like doing that thing where your dick's like slapping on either leg.
Dear God.
In front of everybody. And his mom goes, I'm not going to say his name. She goes, you're naked. And he just thought it was hilarious. I was like, this is amazing. This guy's fucking hilarious. But I can't, I don't.
That's too much.
I know in preschool, they had to call my family and tell them that I was showing people my penis. And being like, Giulio is, proud.
A shower,
and
not a
showing-
grower.
and we need to, so they had to tell me not to do that.
Damn.
But I don't remember bombing around naked in the house. Especially you had a sister. Did that make it weirder?
No, I think we both did. I think we both just, we're totally free spirited up until before you hit puberty, of course, before any of that sets in. I don't know, single digit ages.
Totally. Yeah, I was gonna say
6, 7. I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a great question, though. Boy,
let us know if you have any like weird. Not too weird, please.
Yeah.
Weird memories of seeing your parents naked that aren't really fucked up or traumatic
of me and
for
my
you.
mom naked together. Look, it's totally normal.
Oh my god, dude, insane. Okay, we got some good emails here, so let's bang through these.
Great.
This one's great. Hey, Julia and Francis. Around the age of 12 or 13, my baseball buddies, who happen to be related, stole some, quote, dirty magazines from one of their dads and distributed them amongst the 4 of us in our friend group. We quickly shoved them in our backpacks before we headed to our homes. I thought the magazine was weird considering the women were not hot and their shoe sizes were in bigger and bolder letters than their names.
Where is this going?
This is great. Also, the angles of the pictures seemed way off, in my opinion. Fast forward a week later, my mom decided to clean my room, which was weird because my room was tidy. I've always been a little OCD. Not only did she find the magazine, but she also found my entire inventory of cigs and condoms, which I would sell to my classmates. I wasn't really a bad kid, just a hustler at the time. Love it. She left the condoms, but took the cigs and the magazine. It took a while, years, to realize that there was such a thing as a foot fetish. I quickly put 2 and 2 together and have ever since wondered, does my mom think that I have a foot fetish? My mom and I have a cool relationship. We've actually discussed the cigs and condoms, but not the magazine. Wow. I don't know if it's too weird to bring up. By the way, I've been with my wife for 8 years and she can confirm that I have no such fetish. Thanks.
Unreal. Man, that's so great.
Dude, you got to tell your mom, dude. You can't let your mom pass away without
Agreed.
knowing that you didn't have a foot fetish.
Agreed.
You need to just have a couple of drinks one night and tell your fucking mom that you don't have a foot fetish.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like stressed about this. You need to tell her. Seriously, dude, tell your mom.
Yeah,
She's buried that so deep.
I also think that if you could laugh about the condoms and the cigarettes, why not extend it to just cover all the bases of that fateful day?
Dude, totally.
You know?
You've covered it all. And also she left the condoms because she thinks you're just jerking off on feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn, that's wild though. First of all, I didn't realize that they made, it's amazing to think that they made magazines for people with foot fetishes. Because I thought, that the proliferation of, or let's say the availability for people with more fringe fetishes only kind of came about as a result of the internet. Like, people who were really into much more, that back in the day of print porn, there wasn't as much, access for people who were into crazy stuff. It
the
was
BDSM section was likely much smaller.
Yeah. And then even then, So, it's amazing that there was you could potentially subscribe to Feet Weekly or whatever the hell it was back then.
Totally.
That's
Insane.
So funny.
I know, but dude, seriously, tell your fucking mom, man. That is insanely weird. So, dude, okay, so we talk about this on older episodes, which we encourage you to listen to because there's some funny ones, but sort of about daydreaming about different scenarios. Some of them being like hero fantasies, but sometimes I have like big timing fantasies about how I will like big time someone.
Nice.
And one in particular that comes to mind is setting up my office in a way so that all my guests feel inferior to me.
Ooh.
Just putting them in like a little chair.
All right. So this is great. What's the one big key right off the bat to making sure that this is the case?
Well, I don't know. You probably have a better one than me now, but I'm thinking that your chair has to be higher than theirs.
Okay, but you think about like this office that I have, right? Obviously my desk is against the window and I'm looking out the window, right? Why is that obviously not set up for anyone to feel big timed in my office? What do you need in your office to make people feel big timed?
Well, you at least need a place for them to sit when they come in.
You need a desk that faces the room. You
You're
need
right,
to be able
you're right.
to sit
In the back of the.
and look out at the room as if you're expecting visitors.
Yes. Yes.
And you know where this occurred to me? Boardwalk Empire.
Interesting.
Mobsters, gangsters, people who have like scheduled appointments that you have to make appointments to go see them. They always are at their desks facing out and saying, take a seat,
Right.
you know, have a seat. The guy takes his hat off. He puts it down. And then he's got his ear for a 10-minute window.
Yeah, dude, there really is something to that whole process of coming into somebody's office. They make you sit in the waiting room, even though they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Then they like bring you in the conference room that isn't even their office. They like have a cubicle, but now you think you're in, you know what I mean? There's a
Right.
way, there's like a mind fuckery that occurs there that just like shouldn't be underestimated.
Yeah.
The same way that they say like the best negotiation tool is just to be able to be patient. Like you set up a negotiation room so it's like a little too hot and uncomfortable for the other person. Like if you have the ability to set that up, people are much more likely to like come to terms over something if they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. I've never had it occurred to me that I've never had a desk that faced an audience. All the desks I've ever had were either against a wall or against a window. Because an office for me has never been a place to hear people out.
Which makes
or get
sense for you. You know,
business
you're
done.
writing. So
Yeah.
like, and one of my favorite books on writing by Stephen King. There we go. A Giulio book recommendation.
Nice.
Fuck all the doubters and haters.
An author from Maine, no less.
By the way, that guy has a great Twitter.
Does he?
He's just a fucking prickly, hilarious guy. Not
Yeah.
even prickly. He's great. I don't highly recommend. Anyway, the book too, he says that he always puts his desk against a wall with no window because he doesn't want to be distracted, which sounds a little kind of like grueling of a thing to me. But like, dude, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It makes sense that your desk is up against the wall. You're like trying to think of shit
Yeah. Yeah.
as opposed to like bringing people. Carl, take a seat.
Yeah. Right.
It's not like that
Right.
kind of situation.
I'm
you
not
know?
a therapist. Yeah. But I think maybe the Oval Office, right? The Resolute desk faces
dude.
out,
Totally.
you know, to
Or-
entertain heads of state. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. But even just this idea of bringing people onto your turf.
Yeah.
Some of the most like powerful people that I know, they like don't go to other people's shit. And it makes sense because they can't be their like cocky selves as much. When you go to
Right.
somebody else's house, you need to be like polite and be like, oh, if you're in your own fucking space,
Right.
they have to pretend you're funny and like, you know what I mean? And even we've talked about this before, but like Lyndon Johnson bringing people into the fucking sauna and showing them his 12-inch pipe
There you go.
to intimidate them. You know what I mean? There's something to be said about like bringing people onto your home turf
Yeah.
when you're trying to get shit.
Yeah. That's great, dude.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Yeah. How do you flesh out the rest of that big timing?
I just think
fantasy?
about the people who like doubt me, or like anytime I like pitch something and the person alludes to the fact that I'm not a big enough name, or they just like make these bullshit points that I know they wouldn't be making if they were a more senior agent. I'm dealing with some like junior agent who thinks they know everything. It just pisses me off. And I just think about the day where they can't even get into contact with me. And then I bring them in my office and put them in a little chair and they pitch me stuff. And I am like not interested in hearing what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to take this. Let's reschedule for next week. And they have to physically come back next week.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
how it ends. So
Boy, that's good, dude. That is I like that.
all right, well, dude, another beautiful edition of Oops the Podcast.
Sure was.
Hope you guys enjoy your weekends. Thank you so much for everything. Please follow us, Oops the Podcast. I'm at Not Julio. He's at Francis CC Ellis. We're gonna keep sprinkling out nice tidbits for you guys. So thank you for engaging with us and listening, and we'll catch you next time. If you like this video, we have a bunch more. Just like and subscribe to our channel, and you can get all the videos you want.
Oops.